Shalom, family. It's good to see everyone here. Man, I think if I was not around to see this, I would not believe it. I don't think I have ever seen this kind of fighting going on when there is an incoming president. Usually, you're just riding out the end of this presidency and then it goes into the new one. They're going into the presidency having wars with each other online. I mean, if you weren't around to see it, you wouldn't believe it. So today we're going to talk about the list of things Donald Trump said he's going to do on day one. All right. And I'm going to share my screen because there is a video I'm going to have you watch, and then we'll really get into the kind of things that Donald Trump wants to do. All right. Please give me a 1 if you can see the screen. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Okay. Y'all, if you go back a few of my live streams, I said Donald Trump may be the first president to jump off an uprising in the 21st century. Am I wrong? Am I wrong when I said that? Wow. Thank you, y'all, for the ones. Thank you.
Aaron, as we look at this, what might be different than your coverage as your coverage goes forward is that this second term of President Trump will effectively be at some point a lame duck term, right? And does this mean that most watching, those who are on the ground there, believe that we will see more of what we saw in the first administration, more gloves off, or the opposite of what that might be, given that he's not running for re-election this time around for various reasons?
Yeah, we talked about the idea of a mandate, right? I think that because the administration that's coming in believes that they do have a mandate, they believe that they have policy ideas that they can fully execute and that they should fully execute with the support of all the people who voted for Donald Trump. And there will be things that we saw last time around that quite likely will come back. We've been talking about the President Biden's commuting the sentences of 37 men who were on the federal death row just yesterday, as a matter of fact. 37 of the 40 men who are on death row, right, or were on death row as of yesterday. Well, we know that during the Trump administration, he wanted to make sure that the execution option was something that stayed available to people who were offenders, murderers and things of that nature. Well, this time around, he has said that he wants to see drug dealers potentially get death sentences. He wants to see migrants who kill Americans get death sentences as well. And we know that there, in the last several hours, the president-elect has released, posted a statement consistent with what his team said yesterday, that he fully intends to use the death penalty as an option. The statement that he posted on his social media site says, "As soon as I am inaugurated, I will direct the Justice Department to vigorously pursue the death penalty to protect American families and children from violent rapists, murderers, and monsters." That is something that we heard last time around, and obviously something that we are now hearing again from him. So I think, Richard, you can expect that it will be full steam ahead for the incoming administration. The president-elect has said that within a couple of hours of being inaugurated, he intends to fully activate his government and go forward with the policies that he's talked about.
Sam, back to you, reflecting what Aaron was reporting there. I know the technicalities interrupted us there for a second, but
Sure.
Back to you, Sam.
Well, I'm sorry for the technical interruptions. I just think that we're going to see a real dramatic shift in approach on January 20th. I mean, what we're talking about in terms of immigration policy alone, for instance, it's not just mass deportations. There's going to be an effort to end birthright citizenship right away. And when you're talking about criminal justice, Aaron went through the entire list. When you're talking about healthcare, presuming that RFK Jr. is confirmed, we're talking about incredibly dramatic changes in direction in terms of funding biomedical research, fluoride in the water, emphasis on different FDA regulations and things like that. When you're talking about foreign policy, I mean, the team that Trump has put together, led by Tulsi Gabbard, basically led by him too, has a whole different tone and approach to the world than the Biden administration. So it will feel like whiplash. And when you talk to Democrats about it, what they're concerned about is separating the signal from the noise. They're actually worried about being overwhelmed by things to have to push back against and trying to have to prioritize certain things over the other. So, it is going to feel like a different country on January 21st.
Sam Stein, Aaron Gilchrist, thank you both for your reporting. Have a great Tuesday.
Y'all, did you hear that? It's going to feel like a whole different country. And they're not lying. Okay? They're not lying. Donald Trump have a lot of things on his agenda that he wants to do as soon as he's president. So people better get ready. And, on what he wants to do day one. And he's got quite a list of things that he's going to be doing by executive order. He's got quite a few things he's going to do, and we're going to talk about those things as well. All right, y'all. Let me share my screen again. Okay. All right, so let's get into these list of things that Donald Trump intends to do from day one. So, some of these subject matters might offend people, but we are just going over exactly what Donald Trump said he intends to do. Mass deportations, pardon January 6th insurrectionists, banning trans athletes from sports. President-elect Donald Trump said he would not be a dictator except for day one of his presidency, when he plans to act swiftly on those proposals and several other major campaign promises he made to voters during the election. Some of Trump's day one plans made clear before he even takes office. All right. So listen, y'all, like I said, some of these topics may be sensitive to some people, and some may be upset by hearing this. All I'm doing is telling you what's going on. So anytime you feeling a certain way, I would suggest you get off of the live stream rather than stay and do a bunch of complaining. So immigration, one of Trump's most extreme campaign promises, was carried out, and he wants to do this mass deportation program in the country, the largest in the country's history, on day one. All right. Now, people are not 100% sure how this large scale operation will be executed, and I don't think people should know. You know, if you're going to have to deport people, you're going to have some element of surprise on them. If you tell them everything, then they'll be prepared and flee before ICE gets there, or the sheriff's department, because he's going to be using them. So you can't divulge everything. So they're saying it's going to be a huge logistical and financial effort. Economists also warned that such a program would cause an economic disaster. They're going to be removing many of these folks that are working on farms, working at your fast food restaurants, working in retail, working in hotels, and they're saying this could cause a logistical disaster for the US, which relies heavily on migrant workers. Trump told NBC News in November that there would be no price tag for his deportation plan. So Donald Trump don't care how much he has to spend to carry out this mass deportation. So he is not putting a price tag on, because he intends on spending a lot of money to get these south of the border people primarily out of here. Okay. Also, remember, he wants these illegals from China out of here as well. That's why, and I did a story on that a few weeks ago, how he wants these illegal immigrants from China. And there's a lot of them that come in here from China, but it does not get spoken about like the illegals that come in from South America. So Trump said he will issue his policies by executive order to reverse President Joe Biden's climate policies, and would push for a steep increase in oil and gas drilling on day one of his presidency. However, revoking regulate, because Donald Trump don't like regulations. So a lot of the regulations that are in place, he's going to get rid of. He's going to lift these regulations. All right. So the Environmental Protection Agency is required to go through a notice and comment process, which can take years to do so. And the Trump administration will likely face fierce pushback from environmentalists. Yeah, and they said more than likely him removing regulations could wound up in court for years, which it could. Now, here's one that's going to be ultra sensitive. Trans rights. You know, Donald Trump wants to take these trans rights away, and he said he's going to do it in a stroke of a pen on day one. He said all these transgender rights is crazy to him that they even have all of these rights. So Trump made several promises to crack down on transgender rights upon his return to office. He said he would cut federal funding for schools that teach critical race theory and what he called transgender insanity. He also said he would bar trans women from competing in sports against women, fueling an issue that conservatives have framed as a widespread threat to cisgender women, but in reality is supported by scant evidence. Research has shown that such rhetoric and threats to further disenfranchise trans people have a negative impact on a community that is estimated to make up less than 1% of the US population. So Donald Trump said he's getting rid of this mess, this transgender mess, as he puts it. He's getting rid of it in a stroke of a pen. And I did see some articles. They are anticipating this happening. They know it's coming. So all of these advocacy groups for LGBTQ, you know, of course, they're in opposition of Donald Trump, you know, taking the rights away from trans. But as it looks right now, Donald Trump is going to be moving forward on this. They are. They are, look like, you know, if he does this executive order, look like Donald Trump is going to be the one prevailing on this one. Pardon January 6 rioters. Trump said that one of his first acts in the White House would be to pardon those convicted in the January 6 attack on the Capitol. You know, and to be honest with you, if you are an insurrectionist, why should you be pardoned for your actions? But Donald Trump's going to pardon these people. So what's to stop them from having another uprising, y'all, if they're going to be pardoned? They'll do it again, for real. So he has called the insurrection a day of love and cast the rioters as patriots who were horribly and unfairly treated. So if you storm a federal building, break out the windows, defecate and urinate everywhere, and go office to office looking for politicians, that was an act of love. It's just amazing. Y'all, this is nothing but white privilege. That's what this is. In an interview with NBC, he also did not rule out pardoning individuals who pled guilty to their crimes, including assaulting police officers. Wow, I thought he wanted to give police officers even more immunity. So even if you assaulted a police or a Capitol police officer, you, according to Donald Trump, should be pardoned. How contradictory is that? Give police more immunity, especially against us. We already know what that's for. But if an insurrectionist put their hands on police officers, that should be pardoned too. Yeah, Donald Trump, keep the contradictions up, man. So anyway, you know, Enrique Tarrio's mother has come to the forefront speaking out loud because she wants Donald Trump to pardon him and get him out of jail. You know, he got, what, didn't he get like 22 years? He got some no, he got some outrage. I don't know. And I really don't care. But his mother has come to the forefront to try to get the attention of Donald Trump to get Enrique Tarrio out of prison. Now, whether Donald Trump will do this or not, that's a whole different issue. Trump told Trump Magazine in December that his administration would be looking at each individual cases starting in the first hour I get in office. So freeing his people from doing something totally illegal. Trump has vowed to sign an executive order imposing steep tariffs, here we go, on goods from some of the U.S. largest trading partners on the first day of his presidency. In a Truth Social post in November, he threatened to charge a 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico as punishment for what he called the open borders, though which people are bringing crime and drugs at levels never seen before. This tariff will remain in effect until such time as drugs like fentanyl and illegal aliens stop this invasion of our country, he wrote. Both Mexico and Canada have the absolute right and power to easily solve this long simmering problem. We hereby demand that they use this power, and until such time that they do, it is time for them to pay a very big price. During his campaign, Donald Trump promised to impose a 60% tariff on goods from China. China just banned exports to America. Okay, when Donald Trump made these threats, they've already made moves. In late November, he further vowed to charge China an additional 10% tariff. Now, there's already 25% tariffs in place on China. So this would raise it to 35%. And China said they ain't having it. So this is an additional 10% tariff on imports as retaliation for the massive amounts of drugs, in particular fentanyl, being sent to the United States. Donald Trump has also threatened to raise tariffs on countries in the European Union. And you know, I saw a video where the EU said they are ready for Donald Trump this time around. If they don't increase their purchases of American gas and oil. So if they don't buy more gas and oil, Donald Trump is going to slap tariffs on them if they don't buy more from America. And they said they already buy a lot of their gas and oil from America, and they don't understand what Donald Trump means when he says he's going to hit them with more tariffs if they don't buy more from America. But they said they are ready for Donald Trump this time. So the president-elect has a history of pitching steeper tariffs on foreign countries as a way to protect American businesses. Yeah, well, he's going to be costing a lot of American businesses, y'all. And raising the tariffs means more money coming out of the American pocket, which will put businesses out of business. Some of these, especially small businesses, cannot afford to pay more. And if he goes through with this, you're going to see a lot of people going out of business, ladies and gentlemen. They're not going to be able to afford to stay in business. So, so he said this will generate federal revenue to restrict illegal immigration and to encourage companies abroad to manufacture goods in the U.S. Those companies that left the U.S. are not going to hardly bring those businesses back. That is something that has been said for decades. Oh, we need to bring companies back to America. And if you notice, they didn't come back. You know why? because they get to make these goods with cheap labor. They know Americans are not going to take the kind of salaries that they can pay people in China, that they can pay people in Korea, in Taiwan, and all these places that they have these manufacturing companies. They can't pay those salaries over here in the US. And I have been hearing them talk about bringing manufacturing back. And I have said from day one, they are never bringing these companies back because they are getting away. Number one, in China, they work 6 days a week. They only get 1 day a week off. That's it. If they bring it back to America, they got to pay higher salaries and you get 2 days a week off. They're not going to do that. I've been saying for the longest, they are never bringing these companies back on American soil. They're not going to do it. Not unless something dramatic happens over there in China and they have to get out of there. If those things don't happen, they're not coming back. However, many experts say the tariff hikes will ultimately be the burden on U.S. consumers, and that is absolutely correct. Contrary to Trump's claim that foreign companies pay for increased tariffs, it is, in fact, the American businesses that import goods from abroad that would foot the bill, and they are going to pass that on to the consumer. And that is true. If American businesses have to pay more in order to put out their goods and services, then that's going to be passed on to the consumer. And the consumers are already struggling bad. And Donald Trump ain't even in office, and so many are struggling very badly. So, do I think this is a good idea? I think Donald Trump is going to put all this in place, and I think economically the country is going to tank. I think it's only going to take a few weeks or even a few months, and the country is going to tank. They're not going to be able to, the consumers are not getting cost of living increases on their salary. And if they got to pay even more, you're going to see more people moving back in with their parents. You're going to see more homelessness. You're going to see more businesses going out of business. And you're going to see an economic crash in this country. I think at the rate that we're paying now, there are people barely keeping their heads above water now. When he puts these tariffs in place and prices got to go up, I think a lot of Americans are going to suffer. That's my opinion. So actually, big lots may not be gone at all. I was looking, there's a story out that you might want to look at that said they are actually in negotiation. They may not be going out of business at all. So they may be hanging in there a little longer. How much longer? I don't know. But these are the things they're putting in place. Now, y'all, you just watch. I'm going to get attacked by LGBTQ for talking about the trans part. This is why I don't speak on their issues, because every time I have done a story and it's something they don't like and I talk about it in my live streams, they come to attack me like I wrote the story and I'm the one enforcing the policy. I'm serious. They do it all the time. And that's the reason why I don't do the stories, because y'all come over here and act as if I'm putting these policies in place. And I guess you attack the messenger, and you shouldn't be doing that. If you're mad at somebody, you should be going after Donald Trump, not me. And that's the big reason why I don't cover a lot of your stories, because I had one get mad and tell me, you never talk about LGBTQ. Because the few times I have done those stories on things that they were doing, y'all came over here and attacked like I was sitting in Washington and putting these policies in place. instead of looking at it like, okay, you're just speaking on a story. Y'all don't see it that way. It's really crazy as hell. And number two, I think many people have never been comfortable with y'all entering bathrooms with children and people that don't want you in there. Everybody is not comfortable with that idea. I mean, even the men. How many men in this comment section are comfortable with a transgender man coming in the bathroom? How many of you are comfortable with that? Give me a 1 if you are comfortable. Give me a 2 if you're not in the comment section. Give me a 1 if you are comfortable with some woman dressed up as a man coming in the men's bathroom. Look at all see, I mean, and how many women? Give me a 1 if you're okay with a trans woman coming in the bathroom. Give me a 2 if you are uncomfortable with it. Give me that in the chat. You know, people are telling y'all over and over they're not comfortable with that, and you just want to keep ignoring it and acting like it's a non-factor. It is a factor. It's a major factor. And see, that's what Donald Trump is talking about. When he signs those executive orders, y'all ain't going to be able to do stuff like that anymore. You're not going to be able to enter bathrooms if you're a trans woman going in a woman's bathroom, if you're a trans man going in a men's room. Y'all after January 20th, y'all not going to be able to do that kind of stuff anymore. You're not going to be. And there's a lot of people that are not comfortable having their children, that being part of education in America. And that's another thing Donald Trump is getting rid of. Y'all are not going to be able to add that to education in the country. There are a lot of parents that said they didn't want that taught to their children because nobody in their household was trans or LGBTQ. And they didn't want that taught to their children because that was not part of their daily life at home. Again, y'all don't want to hear it. Y'all don't want to hear these things. And you want to forge ahead with your agenda. So now it is Donald Trump with a stroke of a pen that's going to get all of that LGBTQ education out of public schools in this country. You know, I know you want to be mad at me for saying this, but listen, people, if they got to deal with that, they want choices. They don't want to be told what they have to accept. And y'all don't want to hear it. So all of that's going to be gone. And they know it. And they're bracing themselves. I've seen the stories out there. You are bracing yourself. You know this is coming. You know your rights are going to be gone. As of January 20th, a lot of your rights are going to be gone. Donald Trump himself thinks the whole thing is crazy and shouldn't exist. So if you're angry, you got to take that up with Donald Trump, not Lisa Cabrera. You got to take it up with him. He got the power to make those changes. I don't. All I can do is talk about it. I don't have no right to make those changes. So, y'all, that's what I wanted to cover with you. I think Donald Trump means business. He has not backed down or said he's going to do things any differently as of January 20th when he finally takes office. John L., thank you for the super chat. Lex Luthor with no restrictions. Thank you so much for the super chat. I do appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, all of that's going away. And The things that are covering you now is not going to cover you when Donald Trump gets in office. And another thing that he's doing, once again, he's going to get all of the LGBTQ out of the military. He's removing all of y'all out of the military. That is also part of his agenda. So it's going to be a lot going on. It's probably going to be very chaotic in the very beginning of his presidency with him doing all this stuff at once. All of this stuff is going to happen at one time. And he's letting you know. So he's going to hit the ground running. He's not going to wait weeks or months to get these things in place. He's going to do it day one. Zenabia, thank you for the super sticker. Oh, yeah. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a very turbulent presidency when Donald Trump gets in office. Absolutely. It is definitely going to be turbulent. But I think that's what Donald Trump is looking for. He wants that shock value. I think that's what he wants. Well, I did see something I do want to speak on. Hold on. The Dr. Carpy, you said, I'm not homophobic or transphobic. I'm disinterested. I'm straight and don't fear any of you. Yeah, that has been a major issue. And I'm sure all of you know, a lot of people that are straight felt like their rights were diminished when the Democrats, really the primary ones that gave the LGBTQ rights, if you remember, in the Obama administration. And from that point on, a lot of people that are straight felt like their rights were diminished, you know? So it's going to be a mess. It is going to be something we never seen before. It's going to be like a big major shakeup in this country. And now that Donald Trump is about to be inaugurated, I think the government shutdown, I think that's coming up again in March. Now that Donald Trump is the sitting president, don't be shocked if it actually happens in March. Don't be shocked, because I think Donald Trump will indeed, if he feels like he's got to shut down the government, he will do it. He did it the last time he was a sitting president. So, y'all, that's all I have for today. I thank you very much for being here, and we'll definitely come together again on a different topic. And those of you that have been supportive of my channel, I thank each and every one of you. It is deeply appreciated. Some have rejoined as channel members. Some of you have given Cash Apps, PayPal. I had a person give Zelle. And of course, your super chats, super stickers, and super thanks. Thank you. And whatever way you can show support, it's always deeply appreciated. And by the way, I did add the link because I know some of you said you were having problems with the promo code for Etsy. I did put the link there. So if you click on that promo code and you go to check out, it should already be there, and you should not have any more issues with checking out and getting the 25% off. So just check the community tab for that information. Okay, family. Shalom.